So we are coming up on our first peer review activity for our first major writing project. So I wanted to walk through the process. Now, peer reviews, first of all, to give you a little background and context, peer reviews are incredibly important because as writers, sometimes we have been taught that the best writers or people who write really well do it all on their own, or writing is an act of isolation, as if an author, gets an idea for a paper or a book or an essay and they hide away in a coffee shop, an office, or a cave, and then they emerge months later all dusty and disheveled with this beautiful manuscript that they have written all by themselves. And in reality, that is not how writing takes place. When we write, if we only work in isolation, when we write, we know what we are trying to say. We know the memory or the experience that we are trying to convey. And as we write, if our writing has gaps or holes in it, or if we jump around, we can't tell because we already know the story. Our brain automatically fills in those gaps. However, a reader or our audience, they don't have access to our brain. They can't read our mind. So when they pick up our essay, or if they pick up a piece of writing, all they have to go on is what's on the paper. And so all writers, especially professional writers, always share their rough drafts with other people and get feedback on those rough drafts. Because that feedback, those readers, they can tell the writer of those gaps. They can highlight places where there's maybe a little confusion or some missing information that the reader just cannot see because neurologically they fill in those gaps. And so peer reviewing in this class, we are not correcting one another's work. We are not lecturing one another or teaching one another. We are helping one another and supporting one another, helping one another succeed and helping one another do the best job possible for their essays, and giving that feedback from a reader's perspective, which is incredibly important. So don't be too nervous about this. It is an act that anytime we get other people looking at our paper, we feel a little vulnerable. Doesn't matter how long you have written. That's just normal. Everybody feels that. But it is also very important to help one another. And so as we move through this, be positive, be helpful, be kind. So there are 2 steps here for this rough draft. There's this page where we're going to submit your rough draft, and really all of the submission work is going to be done on this page. The second page are the instructions that's going to guide you. And these both, as far as submitting your rough draft and then following these instructions, each of these steps are worth 10 points. And so our peer review is worth double the points that our normal weekly assignments are worth. Now, before I get into this, I will tell you, if you are not ready with your rough draft, or for some reason you do not submit a rough draft, you will automatically miss out on Canvas's automatic partnering that will take place. And so you will not be assigned to peer review peers to offer feedback for. However, if you still want to participate and get the 10 points for this one, reach out to me and I can manually get in there and assign you 2 peers papers to review. So I'm going to open this right here and just kind of walk through what we're doing. This is where you are going to submit your rough draft. Try and submit a draft that is as complete as possible so that you can get the best feedback possible on all of your work. And so just follow these instructions, and you could look at the rubric and then submit your rough draft here. Just start the assignment, submit it here. And then this is going to be due by the end of the day. At that time, right after the due date, Canvas is going to give you 2 names of classmates, and those are the papers that you're going to offer feedback on. Their names will automatically appear at the top of this page. Now, if the page has been left open, you'll need to refresh it, but depending on your platform, they'll either be right up here or they'll be over here in the corner If you can't find them, reach out and I can help you find them. On the next page, however, once you get those names, and you'll open them up and you'll read their essays, and you will follow these instructions for the peer review. Okay? And here's a tutorial on how to leave your feedback. Granted, they mention a rubric in here. We will not be using a rubric ever for this class because that's too much like you're grading your peer, and I don't like that. So there will not be a rubric. But follow these instructions. You will use the highlighting tool to highlight different sections and offer at least 5 notes of suggestions and encouragement and feedback. And you also use the comment box to answer these questions. So follow these prompts. Follow these prompts. It does mention the rubric here, but I'm going to take that out. I don't like the rubric. You will go ahead and offer that feedback to one another. I mean, this is a quick turnaround, but you have a couple days to get that feedback to everyone. Once everybody gets the feedback, make sure that you open up the feedback that you've received as a writer, and you read what your classmates have said about your paper and use those suggestions. Granted, you are the author. You take everything with a grain of salt. These are suggestions. You don't have to follow everything everyone suggests, but listen to their feedback as readers and use that information for your final revisions as you polish up your draft, and then submit that on the 13th. But make sure that you follow these instructions, and then you will go ahead back here and finish everything up. Reach out if you have any questions. Good luck with everything.